Hi, I'm John DeVore. Welcome to the DeVore Fidelity YouTube channel. Today is going to be another live album, but first a little bit about why I chose this one today. Yesterday I was on a Zoom call with a few of my closest friends, and we were talking about what we've been doing and what we've been listening to and how we've been passing the time isolated in our homes. And one of my friends, who is still recovering from the virus, said he's been listening to a lot of reggae. And I thought that was very interesting, and we talked about it for a little while. We talked about how classic reggae in the 70s, they were really songs of hope, and they were about a time in Jamaica, at least, where Kingston was a war zone. Trenchtown was legendary all throughout the world for being just a terrible place where there was corruption in the police forces and horrible destitute poverty. So it was a really tough time, and this was the music that was born out of that to a large extent. It's protest music, obviously. It's also music of worship. It's music that came out of a religion. And it was music that not only talked about the hardships, but also talked about hope and talked about getting out of a terrible spot that you might be in. It made perfect sense that my friend had been listening to reggae. I haven't been listening to any one thing in particular, because I sort of made this project for myself of this video channel. And so I'm not just naturally pulling out records from the shelves of whatever I want to listen to at that moment. I'm actually scanning the spines for live records and thinking actively about live records that mean a lot to me. And I'm thinking about material for the channel so that I can make these videos. These videos have been a great thing for me. There's a therapeutic quality. Since our factory is shut down, I can't do anything. All of our stores are closed, so there's no orders coming in. So if I sit down and think about it, it's a very, very tough time for DeVore Fidelity and for the vast majority of small companies in New York and in the US. And so making these videos is just wonderful. It's a bit of an escape, but it's also a way for me to keep in touch with people out there that I don't get to see. Always my favorite thing about a hi-fi show is meeting customers and meeting all my dealers and meeting all my friends in the industry. And that's not happening right now. We're not traveling. And so these videos, even though I don't get to see any of you on the other side of that camera, I guess being able to talk to people and being able to express things about music and things about gear and just talk about design and things like that, and seeing your comments below, there's a feeling of comfort, and there's a feeling of camaraderie, and there's a feeling of all of us being in this together. So that brings me to the live album for today, and that is, probably many of you have already guessed, it's Bob Marley and the Wailers Live. This is an iconic live album. It's from 1975. It's just a single record, but I'll tell you a story about this record, actually. Before I had a copy of this, so this goes back a long time. Must have been late 80s or something like that. And I had tons of Bob Marley albums, and I was a big fan. And a friend of mine at the time, who was he was a bit of a deadhead, and he had a huge collection of live dead tapes. And his only Bob Marley record was this one, the live album. And he was over one time, and I was playing some Bob Marley, and I was playing all the studio records, and he was like, "Wow, these are really not as good as the live record. It really, there's the feeling's not there, this, that." And I was just like, "You're crazy. You're just a crazy deadhead." And he's not. And there is legitimacy to what he was saying. There is an incredible feeling in this, and you get this glimpse of an iconic performer who was also a massive genius. Bob Marley was an incredible musician and composer and head of a movement. You know, he really was. He deserves his iconic stature. And this record, it's very good sounding. It sounds like a live concert. It's got that vibe to it. There's a wonderful connection between him and the audience, even though there's not a ton of banter. It's all just there. You feel like he's singing to you. And you flip over to the second side, and No Woman No Cry comes on, and it's one of the highlights of recorded music. It's just that song comes on, and it's so good. It's so delicious. It's such a good version of it. It's maybe slowed down just a tiny bit from the more widely known studio version, although the live version was very widely played on radios and things like that. And so, yes, times are tough now, and things are scary now, but that doesn't mean times have not been tough and scary before, and they will be again. And this may remind people that these are cycles, and all is not lost, and there's going to be hope. And on that note, thank you very much for joining me, and I hope to see you again at the next video. Thanks. Bye.